Welcome to the Mountain State Collectors Convention presented by Greenie Sports Card in partnership with the Charleston Convention and Visitors Bureau. We're very fortunate to have some special guests with us today, and we'll get into conversation. And this will be available on greeniesportscards.com as well, on the socials in the very near future. But we are first joined by Anthony Lewis, a longtime media member here and host and producer of the Touchdown City show that can be heard on the podcast and a number of different areas. And you guys are approaching 200 episodes at this point, as I see it, and covering West Virginia football and basketball.
Yeah, so we started, myself along with Avon Coburn, Derek Bailey, and Matt Durrett started the Touchdown City show in 2020, which was an odd year, obviously, with the COVID to start something like this. So, but we've been blessed to jump into from the world of just being a podcast to now 17 stations in the state of West Virginia that carry the show. Charleston, we just added Huntington, Parkersburg, Morgantown, Fairmont, Martinsburg, Wheeling. Most of the major areas are now carrying the show. So it's a 1 hour weekly show, and we're pretty proud of it. I think we offer an unbiased opinion of West Virginia football. Obviously, having Avon along on the show with us gives us a perspective of having a former player along with a coach, because he coached in the Canadian Football League. And then I'm kind of just more of the captain. I kind of just produce and drive and do most of the talking. And then I've got two guys that are, I was hoping Derek would come here today. He's actually, I call him my walking encyclopedia of sports. Like, just on Mother's Day, he reeled off the last 30 World Series champions in a row.
He's that guy.
Off the top of your head, of his head. So he was like one of the, obviously when I decided to start the show, I checked with Avon. Avon and I've had a great relationship, and I've known Avon since he was at West Virginia, so about 26 years. And then Derek was the first call that I made outside of that, and then built it around those two guys. I thought with my experience in the media and ability to produce, and then with those two guys, I thought we could put together a good product that people would like. And it's like I said, it's a different perspective than what like the IMG product is, or some of the other podcasts. I think, with all of our collective experience and knowledge, I think the show is taken off, and the numbers show it. I mean, people are finding it and listening to it, and just had a few people stop by today that were already listeners, so we gave them T-shirts. So that's kind of interesting when that happens.
Talk a little bit about the fandom of West Virginia itself. This is a very interesting dynamic in this state without a professional baseball or basketball or football team. And so the college and universities themselves, be it Marshall, West Virginia, really become the core fandom for this area. Talk about that and the relationship the schools have with the fans.
Yeah, let's start with the schools. I mean, obviously West Virginia University is the, they always say it's the state's pro team, right? So most of the state follows WVU, and obviously Marshall's down in Huntington. I still follow and watch Marshall. But start with West Virginia. So how that happens is obviously when the guys were there, now, and even pre-transfer portal, that was when it was really a big deal, because guys would come in, and like if you look at like the 2005 team that people know, like with Kevin Pittsnoggle and those guys, right? So they came in as freshmen together, and we watched them for 4 years. The only addition to that team is Mike Gansey, which you probably know is the general manager.
Now he's up by us in Cleveland.
Of the Cavs. So he was the only addition. So we got to watch that team for 5 years, and the fans kind of got to fall in love with that group. And now, it's as they come in, there's still guys like, if you mention a guy like Major Harris. Major played 35 years ago, something like that, and Major still draws a crowd. People love Mage, and a lot of guys like that. I mean, and so people are connected to West Virginia football and sports. And then let's fast forward as they go on, right? So the big conversation that I had on a radio show the other day was like, well, who are you rooting for, the Knicks or the Celtics? And the conversation circles around because Deuce McBride, former WVU basketball player, plays for the Knicks. And then, of course, Joe Mazzulla is the head coach for the Boston Celtics. So as they move forward, there's still that connection to these guys. And, you talk about guys like Mark Bulger and, just guys in the league now. People tend to follow them. And then what happens is it trickles down to being in a place like this, people are collecting them. So I just had a really great experience. So I took Avon's youngest son over to a dealer, and we just bought Avon's rookie cards. So that was he got really excited. He was like, "It's my dad."
Yeah.
But so, and it happens throughout, right? So I can go around to different vendors and buy, I bought cards from Gary Stills, who is a friend of mine and played at West Virginia when I was working there, and was a former teammate of Avon's. And J.R. House, who is now the third base coach for the Reds, is from Nitro, West Virginia. And there was a dealer back there. Jeremy Stout had his prospects card from when he was with the Pirates. So you're talking about a region that doesn't have pro teams, but I think the fandom starts to bleed into following guys from West Virginia and Marshall. I mean, you even talk about Marshall, right? So you're talking about Chad Pennington, Randy Moss, a friend of mine named Chris Massey, who was listed as one of the top 50 greatest Rams draftees, and he was a long snapper for 12 years in the league. He made a long career out of being a long snapper, and he was a walk-on at Marshall and ended up earning a scholarship. He's from East Bank, West Virginia. Then you're talking about guys like Randy Moss, obviously. People know that name.
Hall of Famers, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's just a long list of guys. So it happens in Huntington, too, where these guys are, loved. The Marshall fans are just as passionate about Marshall as West Virginia fans. And as they move on to leagues, playing in the league, there's a guy from Beckley, West Virginia, Tamar Slay, went to Marshall, then left and went and played I believe he was with the Nets for a long period of time. So that's where I think it's great to have the universities. So if the local guys go to the university then go pro, that's a big deal. But even when they come to the universities, the fans in West Virginia tend to follow their careers moving forward.
So two interesting references there. One, anytime you get a Pittsnoggle reference, we love that. When that bubbles up. And Major Harris has a Cleveland connection. He played quarterback for the indoor football team there, the Thunderbolts. So let's talk a little bit about the Mountain State Collectors Convention. We have been exceptionally pleased, and I don't want to say surprised, but the welcoming here for this event and the willingness and support of the community, from the convention center to the Convention and Visitors Bureau to the friends and partnerships that we're making along the way here. It's been really well received. Talk about the show and the relevance and perhaps importance to a show like this coming to an area like Charleston, West Virginia.
So let me start with, I am not a collector, right? So I have been extremely pleased and had a great time. I came and set stuff up, left and went back to work and came back just to hang out, because I've had a blast just being at the tables and listening to what happens with the wheeling and dealing. And then also too, it's been fun to watch kids come in and go to some of the tables where there's like some really good bargains. So this has been great for the area because one, there's not been anything like this. There's some stuff that happens maybe 40 miles away. I did talk to a gentleman that travels to Washington, PA for a huge show like this. So I'm not familiar with a lot of things that happens, but the fact that something like this is happening in Charleston and you guys are planting a flag and brought this to the area, and it's been great, for the sports fans and the collectors. It's been great for me just to kind of sit back and watch. I mean, everyone's just really, dialed in on what they're doing and looking. And there was a young man that was here earlier that pulled a card that was worth, maybe like $150, and he got super excited, and of course he went and sold it and went and bought more stuff. So there's those types of deals that are going down here, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. But also too, what it does to Charleston is there are a lot of people from out of state. There was a lady that stopped by the table. She was from an hour away in Ohio. I heard her tell the Dirty Birds people. There's been people from around the region. So what this has done is not only are the local collectors able to come out, but this has brought in people to Charleston for the first time, your first time visiting, several people's first time, and they get to see what Charleston has to offer to the region. You know, Charleston in the last 10 or 15 years has made a big jump and starting to kind of come back alive. You see this building has been remodeled. This is not the same Charleston Civic Center that I saw KISS, you know, 20 years ago or 30 years ago. This is a brand new convention center, and it looks great. And when you can bring events like this, this puts the building to use, and also you see the potential of what this could become, right? So we're looking at using what, 40%, 50% of this facility, of this room right now. You know, hopefully by next year that white wall comes down and there's more vendors and more visitors, and this thing can start to grow. So I applaud you guys for believing in Charleston, and I got to commend the visitors and then even the locals that have taken the time to come out. So the potential of this is limitless. I mean, and again, for somebody like me who's kind of just a bystander, it's been so cool to like watch. And even I spent some money. It was like $6 or something, but I bought cards I had as a kid, and they weren't graded or anything.
Right.
But it's like, oh, I had this when I was 10, and I'm going to buy it again. And it meant a lot to pick up a Darryl Strawberry rookie card for $1. You know, so
Very
it's kinda
cool stuff. Hey, you mentioned the visitors coming to Charleston. We're aware of somebody who drove in from Massachusetts and somebody else who came from Minnesota, and we've got a contingent from Ohio and beyond. And we've been incredibly impressed with, again, the reception and the support of the city, and our eyes have been open to the amenities here in Charleston. This is a state-of-the-art, first-class convention center. And as you said, we've planted the flag to launch the show. The inaugural show itself is the largest collectibles convention to ever take place in the state, at about 140 tables here. And the really exciting part is the facility has so much room to grow,
Right.
and continue to build these partnerships and raise the awareness and continue to see what this show can become. But we appreciate your support, and we appreciate the participation of Touchdown City Club or City Show and HD Media and everything else, all the partnerships that have come along with this, and can't wait to see where we go from here.
Yeah, it's been awesome, and you know, hopefully next year we'll have that white wall down and more visitors and more tables. So as I'll tell everybody, you know, tell a friend and bring 2 friends next year. You know?
I like that. Tell a friend and bring 2 friends.
Yeah.
So, our thanks to Anthony Lewis, the Touchdown City Show, for joining us here on stage and in partnership at the Mountain State Collectors Convention, presented by Greenie Sports Cards in partnership with the Charleston Convention and Visitors Bureau.